Spider-Man No Way Home reveals Peter Parker's toughest choice yet. The latest Spider-Man No Way Home trailer's here, and it is jam-packed full of Easter eggs, eyebrow-raising details, and clues about what to expect from the final film. And like any Marvel movie, this trailer also has spawned nearly as many theories as there are Spider-Mans digitally erased from it, which is to say somewhere between like 2 and 19. And while we broke down all of the hidden details, Easter eggs, and unexpected connections in yesterday's Nerdist news, which you should go watch right after this, we also had another theory while we were falling asleep last night while wearing our Vibranium foil hats. It's a theory about how Spider-Man No Way Home will force Peter Parker to make his toughest choice yet.
That one. Great choice.
And it might not be the choice you expected based on what we saw in the trailer. While this is speculation for the time being, if we're right about this, well, that could be considered a spoiler for Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you're worried about that sort of thing, leave now before you see something that you probably shouldn't.
Treating Wheels protocol. Turn it off.
I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, they're probably blocked for a reason.
Alright, let's get into it, shall we? The new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer features our best look yet at villains like Sandman, Electro, Lizard, Green Goblin, and Dr. Octopus. It also includes repeated references to difficult choices that Peter Parker has to make, especially in the wake of his public unmasking at the hands of J. Jonah Jameson and Mysterio at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, the most obvious choice the trailer is teasing is not one that Peter takes lightly. He has to decide how to send these multiversal malcontents back from whence they came. Doctor Strange explains that all of these people died fighting Spider-Man, and while characters like Sandman and Lizard didn't bite the bullet on screen, they might be dead inside after their grief, frustration, and desperation drove them to supervillainy and fateful encounters with their respective Spider-Mans. This decision of how to fight these ghosts, as they're called, whether there's a way to send them back through the rift in the multiverse or to kill them because they're destined to die fighting Spider-Man, as Doctor Strange alludes, that's going to be a major turning point in the movie, and that's something that will rock Peter Parker to his core. And Michael Walsh has an excellent piece about how this particular struggle could lead to redemption not just for Tom Holland's Peter Parker, but Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Peters as well, and I highly suggest you check that out. I'll drop a link in the description below for your reading pleasure. But that isn't the choice I'm referring to. Rather, this choice is carefully hidden in the trailer, obfuscated by action sequences and montages. And with that said, it may seem glaringly obvious in hindsight, especially for anyone who's read One More Day, one of the comic book runs this film is adapting. Peter's toughest choice in this movie won't be about whether or not bustin' makes him feel good, but whether or not to save Aunt May or Mary Jane. For those who don't know, One More Day is one of the more controversial comics in Spider-Man history. This 2007 run, written by J. Michael Straczynski and co-written and illustrated by Joe Quesada, picks up in the aftermath of Peter Parker publicly revealing his identity in Civil War. As a result, Peter's enemies target the people closest to him, leading to Aunt May being critically wounded by a gunshot. Peter tries to do everything in his power to save her and ultimately makes a deal with the demon Mephisto, which, shut up, I know. In exchange for erasing Peter's marriage to Mary Jane and thereby denying them the child they would have together, Mephisto erases the world's collective memory that Peter is Spider-Man, and he saves Aunt May's life. Now, essentially, this hits the reset button on Peter's life, and it angered a bunch of fans in the process, but that's neither here nor there, because we're comic fans. We're always angry about something. Now, that same choice to save MJ or Aunt May seems like it's going to play out in No Way Home as well. Our first clues come in the form of an attack that puts Aunt May squarely in the crosshairs of some of Spider-Man's deadliest villains. If we piece together different scenes from both No Way Home trailers, we can deduce that Aunt May is staying at the building where we see the Spectrum and Daily Bugle news vans parked out front. Now, whether this is because that's where the apartment is or the news media is staking May Parker out to get a quote about her vigilante nephew, that's less clear. What is clear is Aunt May is at home, and she's put directly in danger when Sandman, Electro, and Green Goblin attack this building. The picture on the wall behind Aunt May when she's shown running through a building lobby in the new trailer matches the picture on the wall when Department of Damage Control agents swoop into the burning wreckage in the first trailer. We see Peter desperately try to stop Green Goblin's pumpkin bomb in the lobby, which blows a hole in the front of the building. But why is Peter so desperate? Well, that's because Aunt May is the target of that pumpkin bomb. You know, I gotta say, Green Goblin, despite trying to kill spiders, much more effective at taking out ants. I said that ruined edifice matches what we see when heavily armed damage control agents also arrive on the scene and begin to hustle towards the scene of the crime. And later in the ruins of the lobby, we see what appears to be a battered, bloody Peter telling Aunt May that he can't save everyone. And while she does appear to be standing in that scene, she still could have been gravely injured in the attack. And the fact that she got hurt might be what prompts Peter to say that to her. Now, as for the MJ portion of this equation, while the internet was abuzz with parallels to her falling off the Statue of Liberty construction site and Gwen Stacy's fateful fall in Amazing Spider-Man 2, this isn't what we're talking about either. No, that will most likely be resolved by Andrew Garfield's version of Peter Parker swooping in the nick of time to lend a helping hand to a fellow Spidey in need, so no one else has to endure what he went through. The most compelling evidence for this so far happens while Green Goblin is monologuing in voiceover to Peter about how he's struggling to have everything he wants while the world tries to make him choose. Included during that sequence is a quick shot of Peter and MJ kissing, which at first glance is in there just to hammer home that MJ is important to him. However, if you look closer, you'll notice that it's daylight, and that places this most likely after the climactic battle at the Statue of Liberty. MJ is wearing the same outfit she wore as she was falling to her doom during that battle, and Peter, bruised, bloodied, and grimy, is wearing the same Spider-Man costume he had on during his big, presumably final fight as well. Now, this doesn't feel like a simple kiss despite what we see here. It feels like they're saying goodbye to each other. And based on the trailers, we know the rifts in the multiverse only get worse and worse as the battle rages on, and Doctor Strange is worried that he won't be able to stop them at all. And given that this all started in the first place because Peter interrupted Doctor Strange's spell, which was intended to erase the world's memory of him being Spider-Man, the only way to undo that damage seems to be completing the spell. If Peter doesn't help Doctor Strange complete that spell, then perhaps an injured Aunt May could die. The multiverse could continue to come apart at the seams, and the world will still know exactly who Peter Parker really is, which keeps MJ in harm's way as well. Now, if Peter does help Doctor Strange complete the spell, that normalcy he felt when MJ knew who he really was, their relationship, the happiness he felt during that 1 week in Far From Home, that will be long gone. MJ will forget who he is. The breach in the multiverse could be sealed off, and maybe they'll be able to save Aunt May in the process, but it's a big price to pay. Now, of course, we know that our time in the multiverse is just getting started, and spoiler alert for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and potentially Morbius, we still have to deal with some other Sony Spider-Man villains waiting in the wings. But with that said, all signs point to Peter having to make the most difficult choice of his young life before this film's prodigious runtime comes to a close. Now, as with any of these theories, only time will tell, and you'd better believe we're going to keep overthinking every aspect of No Way Home until Spider-Man finally swings into theaters on December 17th. In the meantime, though, we have plenty of other theories, explainers, and Marvel deep dives waiting for you over on Nerdist.com. For now, though, tell us, what do you think of this theory? What important choices do you think Peter will have to make in this movie?
You know what? He actually made a really mature choice. Just surprised the heck out of us.
Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like and share this video with your friends, and subscribe to Nerdist if you haven't already done so. And while you're at it, whip that notification bell so you never miss a new video. And as always, for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.